Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. For those who are watching or listening and not familiar with who you guys are, can you share with everyone your name, your company name, where you guys are located?
Yeah, sure. I'm Adam Vaillancourt Roofing. We're located in Milford, New Hampshire.
Very good. And this gentleman next to you?
Yeah. So I'm Scott Knuckles, and I'm the GM for Adam Vaillancourt Roofing and Construction.
Very good, very good. We're talking for a great reason. Business has been great. Last couple of years especially. Kind of share with everyone how you've been growing and what you're hoping to hit in revenue this year.
Go ahead. Yeah, so our plan this year is to grow 15%. Our ideal is to grow 15% every year and hit $21 million in revenue. So that's what we've done 3 years in a row. So we're pretty pleased with that.
That's fantastic. And before we hit record, I asked if you did much insurance. You said no, it's really retail-based sales of that 21 million, which is fantastic. So you're not beholden to the giant storm and all of a sudden doesn't show up for 2 years and
that's right.
Bad things happen. So I'm excited to learn about the operation, what you guys do. But before we get into that, I love learning people's individual stories. I think a lot can be learned from it. Well, Adam, let's start with you. How did you end up getting into the trades?
Oh boy, my dad was in the trades, and he always wanted me to work for him. So when I was younger, I finally got strong enough, or I thought I was strong enough, and I went and did a roofing project for him. I had to clean up the ground, and I was like, by the end of the day, I was like, who would want to do this for work? and I failed miserably. He had to climb off the roof and finish cleaning the ground because I just couldn't do it. I was too young and too tired, and he. And then a little, unbeknownst to me, like later on, I just gravitated towards the field, and got really good at it very quickly. So yeah, that's kind of how it all began, really.
Yeah.
So
why did you decide to start your own business?
I got to a point working for people where I was just more driven, I think, maybe wanted more, didn't want to settle for mediocre. And I was kind of like, at a certain point, I'm like, well, I might as well just go do this on my own.
Right.
And I didn't relate to some of their values and how they were doing things. And it bothered my conscience. So at 29, I launched.
29.
Yeah, I went on my own. Yeah.
Were you in sales, or were you in a management role at that point at your previous company?
No. I was installing roofing projects for some of these guys that ran businesses, and I could do the install great with any team that was there. I could get it done fast, efficiently, and be extremely profitable. So that's how it began foundationally.
Yeah.
I was athletic, tenacious, and that part, organizing the teams in the field, was my foundation where it began.
Right. So how many years ago? You're a pretty young guy still. So.
I'm 49 now. So
man, creeping up.
So I am. Yeah, I totally am. It comes fast. But 29. I began with an old rusty pickup truck and $3,000 in my pocket.
Now, how fast did things start progressing?
Relatively fast. Back then, $1 million business was a decent size operation.
Sure.
And I always made sure we were really profitable, and I always wanted to charge enough so we could pay our people well and make a reasonable profit, because it's really hard work. So, but I stayed small for about a decade. But our reputation was really good. We just kind of dominated our small market, and we were the go-to company. So I could turn down a lot of work because I wasn't really interested in scaling. I was doing well enough, and didn't really know how to, until 2014 is where it kind of started to change.
Yeah. What was the change?
It was funny. I met a pastor at my church, and he was, I told him a little bit about my business, and he had some business, success, growing businesses. And he's like, you're a really good 3-point shooter. You need a great passer. And he hooked me up with a guy from the church, and met him at a diner. And half an hour later, the guy's like, I don't know, I just want to come work for you. So I got him in there. He started being kind of like a great passer for me. And then we started to grow very quickly. And then in 2015, we doubled. We went from like 2.6 million to 5.3.
Okay.
And we we're blowing up. Like, we didn't have SOPs in place. We didn't have.
Sure.
And
That's normal, right?
Yeah. And we were, I mean, profits soared, and I was kind of miserable because I was, this isn't really what I wanted. I didn't want the strain and the pressure. We couldn't juggle everything.
Sure.
And I told them, I said, hey, if we don't get help, we're going to back up.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually prayed about it, and I asked God, like, hey, if you want me to do this, I need some help. You need to give me.
Yeah.
And, formerly SGI, but CertainPath, like, showed up on my radar, and I was like, I followed that leading, and that was where our beginning came to help us on our business. Of course, and it was desperately needed.
Support for this podcast comes from Yellowstone Local. Are you a home service company struggling to find experienced employees to hire? Then you need to schedule a meeting with Yellowstone Local, the undisputed leader in helping home service companies build high-performing teams. Yellowstone Local doesn't just fill open positions, they shift your entire recruiting paradigm, changing your brand into a magnet for amazing people and helping you hire people that embody your vision, your drive, and your commitment to excellence. With an intentionally extensive approach, you'll have a partner that builds and executes the entire process for you, saving you time and money while getting the best results. So, in an industry where your product is your people, don't settle for less where it matters most. Visit YellowstoneLocal.com today and experience a different way to hire. For more information, contact Warren Lentz at 512-962-2638 or email warren@YellowstoneLocal.com.
You got plenty to talk operationally.
Yeah.
I don't want to let this poor guy sit here, though.
Yeah.
Scott, you've got a great background. We were talking before we hit record. Maybe kind of share with everyone your journey to Vaillancourt Roofing. How, what you had been doing previously, because you've been together 2.5 years, you told me, right?
Yeah.
As his general manager. So kind of share with everyone what your career track's been like.
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. So I was 25 years at a financial services firm and relocated all around the country. And the last place we relocated, Adam had the property right next to ours. And so everybody kept asking me, do I know this guy, Adam Vaillancourt? And I said, no, I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
Not from here. But I kept getting asked different places. Well, one night, our neighborhood had a Christmas party and he showed up. So we were there and we started talking. And it was as if I had known him my whole life.
Yeah.
And he had a knee that he had just had major surgery on, and he stood for like an hour and a half, talking to me the whole time in pain. But it was like we made this connection. And so long story short, for me, I was working for a very large company as an executive, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I saw myself retiring from there. And then when he and I met, we had no intentions of working together, but we realized we had a lot of commonality.
Right.
And we started playing tennis every week together. So I'd ask him about his business, because one of the things that I would do is evaluate businesses from time to time within Fidelity, and then run businesses, run different divisions, et cetera.
Sure.
And I was like, man, you're doing a really good, for a small company, you're doing a really great job.
Yeah.
So for about 2 years progressed, no thought of working together. And then I like to joke, but he starts sending me these personality profiles. And he says, I like to study people and, my team and all this. And there's a lot of testing for a small company. I've never seen anybody do anything like that.
Yeah.
And at any rate, I told my wife, I said, I think this guy, if I didn't know any better, he'd be trying to recruit me, but I know he's not.
Right.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't share this, but I literally was walking on my trails. We both live on a beautiful, it's very wooded, very forest, with a large brook. And when I was walking along, I just truly felt like I'm going to be retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2 years, and I heard that twice, just literally, just felt like, hey, you're going to be leaving Fidelity. In my mind, I'm like, no, I'm going to retire from there. But anyway, long story short, 2 years from that time frame, Fidelity offered retirement packages.
Oh, really?
He reached out to me right after that.
Oh, wow.
So just that, and I was thinking about, well, what am I going to do? I'm still young. I got a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And he came to me and he said, listen, The business keeps growing.
Yeah.
I got every finger and toe in the dike trying to make it. And he has a high propensity for customer service, doing it the right way. And he said, listen, I want some help. I need some help. And we need to be able to grow the business responsibly. And so I'd like you to consider coming on board to help out. And that's what happened. Yeah, here I am.
I'm so intrigued when people bring in general managers from outside the industry, what everybody else thinks, right? Because I'm sure you had other leaders in the business. So how did you integrate yourself and earn everyone's respect so there wasn't like, why'd this guy get this job and not me? You know, because that can happen. People are people, right? So how did you kind of integrate yourself, get people, you know, get everyone to know you and say, okay, this is a guy we can follow as well?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that Adam put me in front of every one of the members of the team. So every member of the team interviewed me.
Okay.
And so they got to hear my personal story because in their mind, you're absolutely right. It's like, here, Adam's bringing this guy from externally, doesn't know anything about roofing and construction.
Right.
And here he is going to have this guy, he's going to be my boss.
Right.
But that was the first thing. So that helped a little bit, but certainly didn't go very far. The second thing I did like an analysis with each person. Got to know them.
Yeah.
Spent some time working through questions, what their motivations were, why they were at the company. And then I just started forming relationships with them.
Yeah.
And literally I think Adam would agree, I have really strong relationships, and those people are in my office every day. If they're not in every day, it's a shock.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, this is going on. I'm just thinking about this. What do you think, et cetera? Right. And then lastly, I think the weight of experience. Like I didn't come without management experience. I managed large numbers of people. You know, I was fortunate enough to get a bachelor's in psychology and MBA from Boston University.
Yeah.
So they didn't see this guy coming without experience. And the lastly is that they know Adam and they trust Adam.
Yeah.
And if Adam brings somebody in, for the most part, they're like, if Adam is going to put his stamp or seal on this guy, then he's probably it's the right thing for the business.
That's great. That's fantastic. Let's talk about the rest of the team, maybe the more management team. Let's give them a shout out. So what are some of the other who are the big leaders in the business that help things chugging along?
Oh, well, one of the big leaders was the guy that joined me back in 2014, Scott Burrows. He was my great passer.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started, he didn't know anything about the business either. And I was like, I don't care. You're going to know everything about the business because I'm going to
I'll drag you along.
And I did at first drag him along. I was high energy back then. We were just, and he was kind of fresh, you know what I mean? Sure. He hadn't been, doing it for 10 years and, gotten beat up a little bit, but I still had high energy.
What team is he leading now?
He's our director of operations.
Okay, very good.
So he handles the operations side. High level, guy, can multitask, do a lot of different things, high energy.
Sure.
Used to come to meet with me at a lot of SGI events, back, when it was just me and him.
Yeah.
And, help create a lot of processes, build out stuff. So he's been tremendously valuable.
That's great.
Yeah, he does a great job.
That's great. How about who handles the re-roof crews and the call center and all those people?
Yeah, I mean,
does he manage all that?
No, he's he handles the operations side and some of our pricing, with some of the products and some of our material purchasing. He's always been handling that. Does a great job on that. And but our office manager, Rich Manny.
Okay.
Rich, how long has he been now with us? My time,
4 years.
4 years, yeah. Like he came from. He was another guy that actually came from a Chili's restaurant manager. Both Scott and Rich were Chili's restaurant managers.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they both came over, and he does a great job in the office, call center.
Yeah.
Multitasker, obviously. He has to do a lot of different things, wear a lot of different hats.
Right.
Does a great job with our call center girls.
How did you know him? Did he apply or did
he Scott found him from, because of relationship and, we look for, we're a faith-based company,
right?
We look for people that have that faith, and they kind of show up. So Rich is another one of those that just kind of appeared and got a lot of grit, workhorse, just failure's not an option, kind of guy. And, it's been enjoyable to see him grow in the company and continue to grow.
That's neat.
And then we have Kim Lord. She it's funny. Kim what came from my church years ago, and she was working at the church, and I left the church, and then I heard that Kim was going to be moving on from the church, and she didn't have a job, and I found that out, and I was like, oh, I'm reaching out to Kim.
She's a quality person.
with great,
Yeah.
extensive experience from GE.
Yeah.
Which has really helped our company a lot.
Yeah. And I said, I want you to come work for me. And she's like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't know yet. I was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I already knew who she was. I already knew how driven she was. I already knew her faith.
Yeah.
And we found a spot for her, and she's been just a tremendous blessing. High energy. Kim's, I can tend to be a Debbie Downer a little bit. So Kim is like unicorns and rainbows. So we always balance each other out, you know, and, you know, we're kind of fitly joined together. But yeah, she's tremendous. Moved over to marketing for us.
Okay.
Did a lot of call center stuff, but she still helps out. Another multitasker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Rich Cherney. Rick Cherney is our sales manager.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick has been around, I think 5 years now? Yeah, we brought him in. Actually, I got him, recruited him from a recruiter that Gus uses.
Okay.
Gus referred me to a recruiter and got Rick in, and he's, you know, had to learn the whole system, the processes. I mean,
But again,
from the ground up.
he had the right values. He was the right energy.
The right values, the right energy. You know, all these people are great half the time because they can deal with me. and you know, not excluding Scott. You know what I mean? So yeah, and then we have Giselle, you know, CFO in our company. Been here what now, a year and a half?
A little over a year.
A little about the same time as you, a little bit more, a little bit less. But she does a tremendous job, been great for us.
Yes.
Man, I'm so lucky to find her. Like when we were recruiting, we had like a few candidates, and I told them, I was like, all we have is like 2 people that we're choosing from, but she's been amazing. So grateful to have her. And then the rest of our team. I mean, our team is all like just amazing. I could go on and on.
No, that's neat. I got to give those people a shout out, especially how fast you guys have grown. It takes a team effort to do that. You know, you can't be a single operator and get to that level. So it's important to honor them. You mentioned marketing. You individually runs your marketing department. It's a hot topic now. I don't know how call volume has been where you guys are in a lot of different trades throughout the country. We've seen it go down. You know, COVID's kind of, unless it's over, I was starting trouble. But either way, you know what I'm saying. Things have kind of gotten back to normal a little bit in terms of call volume. How have you guys been driving to keep the call boards full and the opportunities around in this environment? What's been key for you in your marketing?
Sure.
Yeah. So first thing I'd say is we spend roughly right around 3% of our revenue on marketing.
Okay.
Right. And it's a multifaceted approach because obviously you got to have, mail, you got to have Google. Google's such a huge part today. We also do media. So we do TV. We also commercials and we, the programs like Netflix, YouTube, et cetera. We stream our commercials on some of those platforms as well.
Yeah.
But from our perspective, this year was a big change for us. We had a strategic priority to own the South.
Okay.
And in answer to your question, it like Adam is a great defensive player. We wondered if leads were going to go down this year. They've actually gone up significantly.
That's great.
So we've had huge growth. In fact, we've had more leads than we've had enough salespeople to run the leads. So that's put an undue burden on the sales folks that we've had. And as you can imagine, if you don't right size that, you burn them out. They don't work the leads as hard as you would want them to.
Absolutely.
But we had our strategic priority this year was to own the South. So we basically rented a space in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So in New Hampshire, in Milford, but now, just to the south of us, we opened up Chelmsford.
Okay.
And we saw our mass lead flow go up by 269% as a result of that.
Wow.
So we understand that in our world, the way we look at it, Google is your friend.
Yeah.
If you're going to truly expand, you have to expand by location.
Right.
And it can just be a location. You don't have to put vehicles there, et cetera. But doing that, and then there are a number of key things that you have to do to be successful. One is You have to make sure you have enough photos loaded.
Yeah.
In each area. You have to drive Google reviews. If you do those things, Google will recognize you as a true local company to that area,
Right.
and they will offer more leads to your company.
Is the bulk of your budget on then digital media, then your advertising budget?
Pretty much.
Okay. So you said traditional media. What are you running, like on news programs, or what's been?
That's correct. Like the major station we have, WMUR, we tend to do commercials there to start our season, and it's sometimes through the summer. But we found we get many more impressions if you do streaming.
Okay.
So
really?
we've moved, this is a big deal, Adam, Kim, and I, as we spend a lot of time together, but we feel like we get more impressions, and we've seen a larger lift in leads coming from streaming at a much lower cost footprint. So that's helped us out a lot. And then this year, a new thing that we've done is wherever we do a job, we do a letter to a certain radius.
I was going to ask about that.
And then we geo target that area. Okay. So literally, if somebody's on Facebook, we were just in your area.
Yeah.
We did a roof. It gives them, it just makes them think we're everywhere.
Sure.
And then signage, man. You got to get signs in every single yard, whether it's repair or replacement, doesn't matter. Every single job gets a sign.
On the direct mail, is there any offer? Is it just simply saying, "Hey, hello, I'm your neighborhood roofer. If you need any help, I'm here"? Is it?
Yeah, we do on the mailers do an offer. Like you set a certain amount off if you call us, et cetera. Absolutely.
And then on the TV that you said you do to kind of start the season, is it more like just branding, or is there an offer that you push that has been effective?
For now, it's more branding.
Yeah.
Literally, it's just who we are, how we operate. It's a really awesome commercial that we built for a customer that was hearing impaired.
Oh, really?
And how we handled that. We showcased that in our
so
story.
You see that care.
Yes.
I like that.
One of our values is love for people. And if anything in the community, we want them to know that when we come out, we want to show up in every area. We want to show up differently.
Yeah.
The whole look and feel of our company is like, wow.
Right.
I've never seen a contractor do the stuff that you are doing.
Yeah. I think that's important because I think a lot of people are driven in their marketing, especially TV, X amount off. And so it attracts a certain type of customer, that's more of a headache. But if you advertise quality and care, you get, I think, a higher type of customer, a better type of customer. So very good. All right. Generate all these leads. So what's your call center look like at a roofing business this large? So how many call takers or CCRs? I'm not sure what you guys call them. What's that team look like loosely?
You want to share on that? Yeah, sure. So we have. It's interesting because, as Adam shared, we do call center and office administration. So it takes a lot to run the company.
Sure.
I mean, everyone listening knows that it takes a village to get all the. If you're going to do it right, you have to have a lot of arms and legs to make it happen right. So we have about 4 folks that are on the phones.
Okay.
And I would say they split their time roughly about 50-50. So 50 on the phones.
Yeah.
So that's probably like 2 contact center reps. If they were really just on the phones full time all the time.
Yeah.
And then 2 are doing all sorts of other administrative contract entry.
Okay.
All sorts of verification, checks and balances, verifications, those type of things. So, that's what it looks like right now.
Okay. And you said before we hit record, you guys do a lot of repair work. What percentage of the business is repairs, would you guesstimate?
Repairs right now would be, let's say, 10%.
10%.
Yeah,
So
10%.
It's pretty good for that's a lot of money for the kind of revenue you guys are doing.
Yeah.
How do you decide, who in the call center decides we're going to send a repair tech to go look at that job versus a salesperson, or do salespeople go on all jobs? How do you guys?
Yeah, it works out like everybody gets cross-trained.
Okay.
So, we'll send guys that can replace full roof replacements at a higher closing percentage than somebody else on ones that call for full roof replacement. Sure. The office does a great job in asking certain questions and going through a script to qualify that lead and understand if could that possibly be a repair that might convert to a full roof opportunity. And, we know right now, like for every 4 repairs that get called, one of those converts to a full roof opportunity.
Right.
And they'll look in their rearview mirrors every single week and keep measuring the effectiveness.
Okay.
To book for impact or book for profits.
Yeah.
And we do at times have to throw away a small percentage of leads because they're roof's 3-4 years old, and we just can't get the guys out when it comes in that mess.
Yeah.
But we'll cross train. Every one of our techs can do everything.
They can sell. They can sell.
They can all sell. Yeah.
Okay.
Some guys have lower closing percentages because they're newer, but repair division, without that, we would not be where we are.
Yeah.
We had to build that out over the years. We had to get really good at it.
Yeah.
And it can be real frustrating to do that because, a friend of mine was like, pay attention to your customers. Your customers will tell you what you need to get better at.
Right.
By asking them. And they were demanding that we get better at repairs. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. And, one of my mentors, like, I didn't ask you if it was going to be easy. I asked you if it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And we want to do the right thing and make sure that we're meeting the needs of the customers.
Yeah.
With that. So, yeah.
So is that your sales manager then who pretty much is deciding, okay, Joe is better at these types or the call center managers, all of them?
Yeah. The contact center manager literally is like the conductor.
Yeah.
And one of the things Adam asked us to do is look at how we could become more effective in determining the value of the opportunity and the complexity of the opportunity, and put that against the right rep. So right opportunity to the right rep at the right time. Those three things are key. Let me give you an example of that. It's like if a full roof comes in today, we want that booked within 3 days.
Okay.
This is Adam's, first to the door, first to score.
Yeah.
We say that lightly because it's all about the customer, doing the right thing for the customer, but it's, if we get there first, we can truly provide the value and help them understand what we do and how we do it and how it's different. Right. That makes a big deal. But one of the things for the folks listening that's critical is comping, because that's what he was asking. How can they see a contact center person, if they're not truly vested, they just take the call and they book it.
Sure.
And then they move on to the next one and the next one. So then you got to ask yourself, well, how do we stratify the opportunity so we get it to the right rep at the right time?
Right.
Right. And so we put an incentive-based plan to predict what's going to be a conversion versus what's going to be a repair.
Sure.
And believe it or not, if it's a repair, they predict accurately 85% of the time. So we know that most likely when they go out on the repair that they designated as a repair only, that newer reps could go on those, or reps that are more proficient in repair close rates.
Yeah.
And then for the top of the house, those customers are more complex, or we think that are conversion, then we could put those conversion opportunities to the reps that are better cast to convert to lead. So we try to be as careful as we can, and we are transparent with the sales team.
Yeah.
It's like, if you up your game and you get better, then we're gonna move you up the ladder of complexity,
right? And
you're going to get a much more difficult caliber opportunity. But if you're not, we can't waste it. We got to be able to do the right thing.
If you communicate it, I don't mean people know at least where they stand and how
it gives them something to shoot for,
right? So it's not like there's some conspiracy against them. This is
right,
boys. I mean,
which sales guys, that's like, well, not my leads. It's not getting enough, or the quality isn't enough. But we are like, no, we can show you what we've given you and how you performed with it. But
I want to talk about the sales. So how many salespeople are you running then, right?
Now we got 10.
You have 10. So, I mean, that's, as you said, that's, salespeople are a different cat, right? So how do you, and you're teaching them the technical part too, right? It's not like they're just, okay, a couple weeks of training and you go sell some roofs and we'll figure it out. So first of all, where are you finding your salespeople? Where have you had the most success? I think that's
we're doing a lot of Indeed.
Okay.
And it was funny. I years ago, I'm like, there's a lot of guys that are applying for our operations manager position. And every time a guy would come in, or a project manager might come in for a project manager position, I'm like looking at his culture index profile and being like, this guy could sell.
Yeah.
And like, we don't need him here. So what about over here? So we're always being open-minded to say, hey, where could this person fit? You don't always know. But yeah, we, sales guys, they're, that's where we find them. I mean, we find them there, word of mouth too, from people in the company and stuff like that.
Are there similar backgrounds? They come from similar backgrounds, or it's all over?
You never know.
You just never know.
Like, you never know where they come from, like they're,
always looking.
I mean, always looking. Start with values first.
Right.
That's paramount. and that's Adam. Like, they don't fit. I don't care how good they are. They're not going to work out here. But I would say, like, one of the things that when Adam first hired me, he said, we have an attrition problem and we have a hiring problem.
Okay.
He said, can you look into it and fix it? Because in this industry, people can be transient. They can come in and work.
Sure.
You invest in them, and then they drop out. They go somewhere else or whatever. And he's like, hey, a company like ours can't have attrition rates like that. And one of the first things that we noticed is that it was a side of the desk activity for each department leader. So we said, no, we're going to take that away, and we're going to have a DRI, a directly responsible individual.
Okay.
So take it from the side of the desk of the leaders. Why? Because our saying is hire hard, manage easy. If you're really going to bring in the right talent, you're not going to have the front door open and the back door open as well.
Right.
So they come right in, they walk right out the back,
Sure.
all the money you spend, et cetera. So the first thing we did was we said, okay, we use culture index, ensure the values align. We do what we want industry experience of some kind for the most part. Like, we did hire a guy that was in medical sales, sharp guy, but he's a persuader, and we said, we're going to put the extra effort. So he's right. Sometimes we bend,
right,
because the candidate kind of forces us to bend. But for the most part, it's worked beautifully, and our attrition rates have gone from 49% to 14%.
Oh, wow.
So it's changed our business. We're keeping people. We're hiring a much higher. Oh yeah, we're hiring a much higher caliber of person. Yeah, and they're staying.
Right,
and that's really critical. So if you think about it, he's right. Like, we do Indeed, but we give them the culture index test. We do a phone screen.
Yeah.
We bring them in. We always do a panel interview. There is no one-on-one hiring decisions at our company.
Okay.
They're going to get a panel interview.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to work through that. Take your time. Don't make any decisions quickly. And then call the references.
Okay. Yeah. It's a big
Call the references. He has a high level of detail. He's like, did we call the references on that person? Because everything can sound good in the interview. So the more data that you have, the better equipped you are to make the right decision. And it makes it, and then your peers, the people within the company, they're saying, wow, this is great. The company's hiring people like me that value what I value. They're hungry, humble, smart,
Yeah.
So anyway, those things help out a lot.
No, that's great. Who's driving the process then? You said you took it away as that
Yeah.
sidebar issue, because it is for managers who are like, I got to worry about this. Well, I know this is important. I know it's important, but it gets shoved aside. So who drives the process in your business?
Yeah, so we looked at the culture index, or the type. For those that don't use culture index, it's a personality profile, and it looks at your profile against the task that you're assigned. We found one person in the office that could take on that and had the propensity to do it and the desire to do it. And so we have her doing it. So she, not only does she screen all candidates coming in, but she's part of our onboarding. So then once we hire them, we embed within them, this is how we operate. This is how we treat our customers. This is how we function as a business, et cetera, et cetera.
That's great.
And that's who we have doing it right now. She's doing a really, really great job. Had no experience, but thankfully in my prior role, I had an awful lot of experience hiring a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was able to help Adam tighten up that process and, try to make it better for the company.
Well, how long is your onboarding process for a sales role? Let's just
boy,
there.
Like a year.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like you bring these guys in, and we have to take them through our sales training. Right, it's like drinking out of a fire hose.
Sure,
it's a lot of information, a lot of content, a lot of role playing. They'll start going on ride-alongs, but the learning curve is longer than most.
Yeah,
because and then some of the technical training. I mean, because we got to give them a lot of repair leads. We get a lot of repair leads, and there's full roofs that are hiding in those repair leads. Well, you got to learn all the technical ends of that stuff, and then, but we got to get you out in the field too and start, making some mistakes. But we have a good rear view mirror approach.
Okay.
When a rep goes out, they're required to take certain photographs.
Yeah.
Fill out their 16-point inspection sheet, and we get to use the photographs in the 16-point inspection sheet to scan if the scope they might be missing, and then how they're pricing the job, and whether or not they articulated certain information to the homeowner a certain way. And all that gives us that rear view mirror to monitor that and actually bring guys in and provide training when we start seeing patterns. And then we'll do, we built out a database with various pictures of various repairs and the situations where previous reps have made mistakes, and this is why. And we have such a culture that a sales rep is like, hey, we're gonna throw you under the bus and let you get ran over at the sales meeting today. Yeah. Are you willing to do that to help your teammates? And our guys are like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that culture is big. Yeah. In our business, where it's like guys aren't afraid to admit that they've made mistakes, even veterans, and be like, and it's humbling, but it's really effective. It creates a great environment to learn and grow, and permission for guys to make mistakes. I hire reps, and I said, you're going to cost me $30,000 this year. They're like, oh, I am? No, I won't. I'm like, yeah, you will. And it's going to be okay.
Yeah. We bake it in the.
I said, we're going to.
That's what he says. It's going to be okay.
I said, we're going to get you great. If you want to be great. I said, we're going to get you great if you want to be great. And so that's what we try to do.
Support for this podcast comes from Home Depot Pro Trades. At the Home Depot Pro Trades, our job is helping you do yours. Powered by HD Supply, we are uniquely positioned to help drive your business through unrivaled access to professional-grade plumbing, electrical, and HVAC products, and innovative business solutions such as our Stockwise inventory management program, fully customizable to meet your needs and improve productivity. Our national network of distribution centers and more than 2,200 store locations provide national reach with a local focus, giving unmatched convenience and product availability. We power pros to do more.
And Moen. As the #1 faucet brand in North America, Moen offers a diverse selection of thoughtfully designed kitchen, bath, and smart water security products, each delivering the best possible combination of meaningful innovation, useful features, and lasting value. Moen strives to be the most durable, reliable, and easy-to-install brand of faucets. Moen leans on pros to help continue to drive consumer innovation and influence Moen's engagement with consumers in a meaningful way. For more information, visit plumber.moen.com.
So how frequently do you guys training weekly? Like, is it every day with some?
You mean for sales or?
Yeah, for sales. Just because we're in that realm right now.
Yeah, sales. I mean, we have it's probably about 4 hours a week. We do a lot of role playing, various parts of our sales process. We're training, various aspects. And then we have one-on-one trainings where we bring reps in, like newer reps will be required to come in like an hour early before that sales meeting and do some technical training. And then our repair guy that reviews a lot of the repairs can kind of bring them in. Like before our sales meeting, I said, I want you in your office because I want you bringing in the reps. Like, hey, you come in here, and you come in here, and you come in here. And they just coach them up, and they're just coach them up on various things. And just to try to decrease that learning curve. Sure. Because they don't know. They have to be taught, know. Right. And so, that's worked. We're building out a video database to get there. We are. So we're a little bit behind on that, but it's okay.
Well, it's all right. I mean, if you're doing it for your individual company, I don't know how many people are doing that. So that's great. So is it just different steps of the sales call, or there's technical built in that as well, or what kind of topic?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff is a technical end of it. We're gonna have a lot of the video content from various technical sides of various repair work that we look at. I mean, it seems like it's overwhelming at first, but then there's actual video footage of a guy going out and doing analysis on roofs and seeing various situations and what to look for. To find scope and to be able to help customers. Right. If we have a guy that's not trained and he misses something, well, that's not providing the value that we're looking for to help that customer.
Sure. You mentioned training other departments. What other departments are training? How frequently are they training?
Every group has what we call a leadership 10 meeting every week. There should be training every single week without fail. Does it happen every week? Not every single week.
Yeah.
I'd say, but most likely it is. Because if you're not, you can't, we call it root cause analysis. A lot of training comes out of the broken stuff.
Right.
So if you don't capture the broken stuff, you don't memorialize it somewhere and then bring it up for the team to dissect it,
right,
then you're coaching one person to fix something that is eventually going to impact the others as well.
Right.
So we try to have an environment, like Adam said, even with the role plays, it's not punitive.
Right.
it's one of our values is excellence. We want to strive to get better every single day. And the only way to do that is training, for sure, is coaching. And so we do it every week. Yeah. And Adam, actually the university concept was born from Adam, because we would be in a training, because we try to attend. Actually, he and I try to attend various trainings and meetings, to sit in and see how it's going and see how rich it is, if it's light and, whatever, what the engagement is, morale.
Yeah.
But that's why we created the video capability to record, because at any given week, people are missing.
Yeah.
And so therefore you've got seepage. You have people that aren't catching any of it.
Sure.
And then the leader's busy. So it's like, oh, we covered this, check. He calls it box checking, and we have people that just box check, and then because they're jammed.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, let's memorialize it, put it in a library.
Right.
And then we can call it forward at any time. And instead of even having to spend 20 minutes on it and here, why don't we assign it to everybody? Say, hey, watch this video. We're seeing this is what's happening. And
Right.
And then they can then watch it. And then with where we're heading now around accountability, it's like, are the numbers changing?
Mm.
That's what it's got to be about.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not training to train. We're training to make you better, make you more highly skilled. We'd like to see that show up in the results.
Very good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, the only true failure out there, when you make a failure or make a mistake, is if someone doesn't learn,
Right.
and the team can't grow.
Right.
That's the failure.
Very good.
So it's like when you get in an environment where a guy messed up and all of a sudden you get really excited and he's like, why are you so excited? I'm like, what'd you learn?
Yeah.
Now can you go help somebody with what you learned?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Go do that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. That's fantastic.
go do that.
You mentioned you want to try to get to a door within 3 days, right? If someone calls in for a replacement opportunity, maybe every opportunity. Let's talk about after the roof has been sold, how the roof's been sold. What's that production process like to ensure that you get the right materials for that job, that the customer's happy, that it's just a knockout experience? Can you kind of walk me through how that works at your business?
Yeah, I get so far away from some of that stuff. You want me to share a trouble?
Oh yeah, you should at least. He is so detailed on every little step.
I was heavily engaged in that whole aspect, and I kind of move out of it. But we do everything from the project manager's bio being sent to the customer to know this is the guy that's going to come do your project, and this is a little bit about him, to specific SOPs, to getting our project manager there on site, clear explanation prior to us coming out of what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
The guy shows up, the guy meets with the customer and follows a very specific standard operating procedure. It's called a fast field form. That's step by step how to manage that job site.
Yeah.
Obviously he has to learn how to play checkers before he can play chess. So basics first, and then they can move throughout the basics once they get better. Upon completion, the guy will take video footage, audio, pictures at certain timestamps to record work, pictures of underlayments and how everything's installed to back ourselves up. And then the final completion is an inspection report that they have to fill out, crossing every T, dotting every I.
Okay.
And at the very end, they always ask a customer, they ask them, and to set up for a review is like, hey, if we were to give you that great experience that you're looking for, would you mind giving us a review at the very end? Did we do that for you?
Right.
Yes. Would you mind giving us a review? And trying to find a specific thing that the customer really liked about our company and getting them to write that specifically.
Sure.
It's not only a 5-star review, it's a 5-star review with specific content.
Yeah.
Because we want to know what we did to impact those people.
Right.
Our goal is to impact people and give them an amazing experience. Well, we want to know what we did really well, and we want to know what we fell short on.
Yeah.
So, even our follow-up on our phone calls are specific questions to try to dig out from a customer what we could have done better at any one aspect of our process. See, a lot of people don't want to hear that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they want to think and believe that we're as great as we are, and there's always room for improvement.
Sure.
And most personalities aren't going to want to tell you necessarily because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Right.
So we always ask them a certain way to make it about the next customer that we want to serve? And would you mind sharing information that will help us give the next customer an even better experience than we gave you? I promise you won't offend us, and then try to get something.
Right.
And then dig that up. That's truly listening to your customer.
Yeah.
If you can listen to your customer, you have to be quiet to really pay attention to what they're saying and trying to articulate. You get better at those things, then you're going to dominate your market, pretty much.
I'll just add a quick point to that, to Adam's, like the communication loop. One of the things we did recently in mining the data from the customers, even those customers that gave us 9s and 10s.
Yeah.
So we call every customer doing that promoter score, and it looks good, right? On overall, you're like, wow, that's really great. But when we looked into the data, one of the biggest opportunities for us was communication. Communication after the sale.
Okay.
Right. Through the project mayor showing up on the job that day. Because in our business, weather has an extraordinary impact on whether or not we can actually produce the work.
Sure.
So you think about the director of operations scheduling 40 jobs for the week, and then them all getting drifted to the next day. You got to call every single. It's just a ripple effect, and people don't check their text, or they don't check their voicemail, and it doesn't. Like Adam says, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they took off work. They want to be there, and now they're angry because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, but that was one of the pieces of feedback. It was like, hey, the customer was like, when these things happen, we need more communication.
Right.
So cause us to be creative and say, okay, how are we going to handle this? And so, for example,
hey, I'm down.
Like,
what is it?
Like,
What'd you do? Yeah.
So what happens is Scott comes to work at like 5:30 in the morning. he starts plowing emails and texts, but you're not checking that at 8 a.m. in the morning. You're going to go to work, and then well, what happens is, when in his mind, he's like, well, I reached out. I didn't get a hold of him. I didn't hear from him.
Right.
But now, in the morning, then we have someone from the office call.
Okay.
Actually, so call and try to speak with the customer to make that experience, just one more touch point.
Right.
Instead of saying, well, it's your fault, customer. What doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we have to make it easy and communicate in a way that meets their needs. Right. But that's just one area. I could give you quite a few, but that's one area recently that now we're doing we set up a whiteboarding session, and we're going to do an end-to-end on the customer communication loop from the sale through the project manager. And we're just going to look at all the touch points around that circle and where the gap is. Yeah. So we call it communication loop, and where are the gaps in that loop. And then what we try to do is say, okay, what's the best way to solve for it?
You're doing this right now?
Right now. It's literally it's either this next week or the following.
Okay, so you haven't started that process yet.
Well, we did. To put the Band-Aid on, we got the office to call.
Okay.
Because it was just, it's a bad experience. But to Anna's, it's like, where else are we?
I'm intrigued if you've unearthed some other.
Yeah.
things.
So we will.
Yeah, we will. But that's great that you're actively doing that.
Yeah. My point is to the folks listening is that we do what's called a net promoter. That's an industry standard, recognized way to evaluate how well you're doing with your customers.
Yeah.
My point is we have a 90% net promoter. Well, most people are, well, that's enviable. That's great.
Yeah.
But we also ask them, what's one thing we could have done better to make this experience better for you?
Right.
And when you read those, even out of the 9s and 10s, it was, hey, you moved my job. It would have been nice to hear from you earlier or something, just stuff like that. And just those little tea leaves give you enough to say, okay, if we do that, could we grab a couple of extra points on promoter for next year?
Sure.
By the way, everybody's paid on it.
Yeah.
Everybody's paid on that promoter. So
okay,
they're motivated to make that experience. Comp plans actually help drive a self-led environment, but those things really help. And people are like, well, yeah, we got to get a couple more points on that promoter, or I'm not going to get my bonus.
You open that door, so I got to chase it because it's always a hot topic. How do I keep my management team? Obviously, with great people, but how do you keep them incentivized, right? So the comp. So what is their comp plan for your managers to make sure they're honed in that promoter score? What are some other things that they're really responsible for?
Yeah, well, you can start going to the net promoter, some of the comp plans, because you drove a lot of it.
Well, that was another thing. The couple other things that Adam had asked me about was when we started was consistent management rhythms. He said, I want consistent monthly business reviews with every employee at the company. So the folks listening, if you're not doing that, it's really critical. Drive-by management is an effective form of management, but it never gets to the root of what's going on with an employee.
Right.
To get to an employee, you got to sit them down and be a deep listener of what's going on and how they come in with their results for the month and tell you, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what I actually did.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going to do next month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you have measurable performance for every employee at the company. And we do.
Yeah.
Every employee has a comp plan. And my advice to the folks listening is pay less in salary and more in bonus. Meaning, if this year you're going to put a 3% raise in, put it into the incentive plan.
Yeah.
Because comp drives behavior.
Yeah.
If you just increase people's salaries, that's great. But if you have the right KPIs and your team understands what drives those KPIs and are held accountable for them,
Right.
then you can pay on them.
Right.
And that comp. So to give you a very quick example, Adam's like, hey, the production managers, too many errors in fast field. It makes our job costing. To cost a job was like 45 to 50 minutes. He's like, we have to get that down. That's not acceptable. Our customer service rate is going up too high. That's a rework, where some ripped screen, nails in the yard, something on the roof, whatever. We have to go back out. That's rework. So what did we do? We built an comp plan and said, listen, so just to give me an example, it's like, yes, we're going to put you out on your jobs, but what's your accuracy rate on doing that job? When we started, it was 40. Now it's 80. You see what I mean? The office loves us loves them now because they're turning in more accurate information. And then customer service was growing beyond our ability to be able to service that.
Right.
So we put that in the comp plan for every employee.
Right.
Number 3, Google reviews. It's like you get a Google reviews, you get what we call spiff. You're going to get paid on that.
Sure.
So I'm just giving you an example. You do that for every role.
Right.
And so and then lastly, for the leaders listening, is goal congruency. Make sure everybody's tied together. So the head of operations has very similar metrics to his team.
Okay.
So that everybody's connected together. It's like, if we don't win, and then when that employee sits down for his quarterly review and he has the potential to make $5,000 or $6,000 and he gets 3, you better bet next month he's going to start really hard saying, I need to correct these things because I left money on the table.
Right. That's interesting. So for the managers, though, you started saying that promoter score was 1. Sit down. Well, you said monthly
business review.
Monthly business review. What are some of the other core things that they have to accomplish to hit their?
I mean, mostly it's the basic. It's revenue, gross profit.
Yeah.
It's net income.
Okay.
It's things. It's more that is customer service.
Yeah.
Net promoter and attrition are really the common for most. Absolutely. Now it's like, we're helping you put the right people in the seat.
Right.
Your job is to take care of them and make sure they stay in the seat.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
You talked about that was really neat. You're whiteboarding all the touch points you have, right? And you guys are getting together as leaders. You're trying to figure out how to get better. How frequently are you guys doing that? Meeting as a senior management team?
Every week.
Every week. Okay.
Yeah, we have we call it a weekly L10 meeting. Every week we meet where we're going over all of our KPIs, our high level KPI numbers, and we're root cause analyzing issues that pop up. Every department can bring issues up to the leadership team, and some of those issues get dropped down to individual department leadership meetings. Those are also L10 meetings, but every week, we use EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. Has been doing that for like about 3 years now, and that's been life-changing for us.
Right.
So very effective.
That's good. And then you get opportunity during those meetings to work on things that are like that, the whiteboarding and stuff like that. With about hour-long meeting, you keep it
hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes up the whole meeting, and we'll get to 3 issues.
Right.
And there'll be like 20 on the board.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Right. And sometimes if issues are going down, I'll be like, well, I got to get involved in certain areas. I'll throw a few more up there.
Yeah.
Adam's digging.
We feel good. He's like,
digging
there's a lot out there.
We want to fix broken stuff. That's what we got to get great at doing.
Right.
That's the way it goes.
That's right. You guys talked about watching those KPIs, talking about them. I mean, the key to a growing business is making sure you hit the margins right. I mean, that's where you have it, and making sure you're not being wasteful. I mean, roofing, I feel like it's such a big thing. You just wait from So how do you like minimize that stuff? Like when you see materials start spiking up, how do you get to that and address it?
I have been extremely anal when it came to waste and products and materials, on a small scale. So my director of operations, Scott Burrows, understands that completely. So we're always working our material costs from our vendors. And we're big and we supply them with a lot. So we have a little bit of leverage and we gain leverage there.
Sure.
The other thing is we have a project manager on site for every one of our full roof replacements.
Okay.
And people used to be like, years ago, well, why you do that? It's a waste of money. And I said, no, we're doing it because of this. And they're like, well, you should do it this way. And now I think a lot of people are adopting that. And I told them years ago, a project manager is going to lead to better customer experience. And a project manager, if he's doing his job, should earn half of his income in waste, in finding waste.
Right.
A $26,000 roofing project, you could find $200 in waste very easily. It's, 5 extra feet of ice and water shield over here, 3 pieces of drip edge, a bundle of shingles that gets wasted. And people think that that's not a lot of money on a $26,000. It's like, okay, we do 600 roofs a year, times that by 200.
Yeah.
That's $120,000.
Yeah.
And if your EBITDA growth is like, $750,000, I mean, what percentage of EBITDA you just found there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not even that. It's stewarding the resources.
Right.
Like we're gonna use these resources that are given to us, that we're charging customers for, and not be good stewards. And we'll teach the guys that. And sometimes they get a little convicted, and it's okay. You know what I mean? We all get a little convicted, and they're like, yeah, I should do a better job. So. I'll speak vision over that and kind of give them a whole scenario and to the production guys, because I was one.
Sure.
And I get it. I understand their world, so I can relate to them differently because I understand their world. Like that, and the sales guys really, I did both.
Sure.
They can't really fool me.
Yeah. I'll just add one quick point too, and that's for all the leaders listening. It's look at your gross margin. One thing he's taught me is you look at your gross margin on every job every week.
Yeah.
So we have a report that comes out every week with the margins. Why? Not because we're trying to micro.
No.
It's because we're just trying to understand, are we priced appropriately? Is there certain things that we could train on that would help some of our sales guys better understand scope and how they priced a job? But we really like to have that every week. So most of us that get that report will scan through every job every week to see how are we doing. And, if you can control your margins, you don't want degradation in your margins. So if you can control your margin, that's the key to a successful business.
Right.
And so that's one of the things we try to look at, carefully.
Yeah.
Because it determines your pricing. It is so much of what you do is determined by that.
Has labor been pretty consistent? That if you have all these incentives, right, it's kind of built off a number, right? So do you have spikes, or does it stay pretty consistent, your labor percentage?
It's been staying consistent.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things too, our raises for our sub crews. I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but they get bonused.
Yeah.
Accuracy, safety, quality of the work.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I mean, think about it. How many people listening do they just give their sub crews a dollar amount versus saying, I'll give you a dollar amount, but if you do it correctly, then we will pay you a bonus. So that was his idea.
Well, they all want more money, and it's like, well, we'll give them a bonus.
Yeah.
And tie it to the KPI. You know what I mean? They have to earn it.
Yeah.
When you create a self-led environment and you have the right incentives in place, you don't have to talk as much. All that does the talking for you.
Yeah.
And so people understand, if I'm going to win and the company's going to win, I have to hit these markers.
Right.
It just makes it a much, much better environment for all of us.
I want to talk about culture and core values because it's sprinkled throughout this entire conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about core values. When I first heard this idea of core values, 10, 15 years ago, whenever it started, it's kind of soft, smushy stuff. I mean, I've been in the industry a while, but it really drives everything. So when did you set your core values? How long ago was that? And how frequently do you talk about them to your team?
Yeah, I personally always had values. I was very value driven in how I did things and why I did things, but they were never written down. So they would come out of me into my team. But until we started doing EOS is where we actually got more intentional on what those are and why. And we let the leadership team pick them.
Okay.
This is leadership that pick those. I mean, my job was to try to pick great leaders to come in, and the leaders get the consensus on what those should be and why as it relates to our mission. And so it's because now you're bought in to those.
Right.
So we came up with, and this was completely accidental. So it's our 4 values are hungry, excellent, authentic, and a love for people.
Yeah.
And if you break that down, that's heal. And we didn't know it was heal. We're just like, oh yeah, we're out trying to heal the community or heal, people and impact them, give them a great experience. There's some healing going on there. So it's like,
Maybe it was meant to be.
Yeah.
things happen all the time in our business.
So it's mentioned all the time in the business. I'm sure it's all over the wall. It's more, a lot of people, I put it on the wall, it's good enough. But that's not good enough, right?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
I have to do this because he won't, but he having those values, it's way more than being on a wall. And I'm going to give an example. Yeah. We had a person in the contact center that said one of our top performers was not lining up to our values.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought that to leadership's attention.
Yeah.
And that's the epitome of what you want.
Right. It's our company.
It's our company.
Yeah.
When they see, in this case, not having excellence.
Yeah.
And seeing things that's not, that don't line up with our values, that person's not with our company anymore.
Right.
And is she the single, no, but she went to the leader because all the stuff that they do goes into the office. The office sees everything.
Sure.
And sometimes they just keep their mouth shut, but in the grand scheme thing, they're like, no, this person's violating our values.
Right.
And they said something and it got raised up to our attention. It cost us to dig in a little bit more. And that's what you want.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you want.
I've taken so much time. I want to start wrapping it up a little bit. When you first started, you started leading down the path of running into SGI, CertainPath. We get a lot of people that listen that are not members and watch that are not members. Maybe can you speak to the value of having an organization and resources outside of your own company to be a sounding board or just to offer ideas?
Oh my God, it's been life-changing for my business. And, we don't come into this having all the answers, and that's okay. And we're not supposed to figure it all out. And, reaching out and asking for help, for one, makes you a better, more effective leader.
Right.
Because you can admit that you don't have answers and levels your pride. But Success Group International, CertainPath has been just revolutionary, and it's led us to other mentoring programs that we do too as well. It's just been, in the network, the ability to help other people and then get help. I mean, you can't underestimate how powerful and life-changing that's been for us. That's why a lot of people have gone out of their way to help our company. And sometimes we're too busy fixing some of our own problems in our business but then we do our best to reach out. And that's why it's a responsibility for us to be down here and do these things. I'm tend to be an introvert. I don't even want to be in the face of, the company sometimes, but it's important to give back and share, what's worked for us to help, everybody else that's coming up.
That's great. That's great. How about Vaillancourt Roofing? What's the next 5-10 years look like? Have you guys talked long? There's a lot of laughing and shoulder shrugging. What do you guys think?
It's so funny. You always got to put a 10-year vision or a 5-year plan. And I'm always like, listen, those can change. You can pivot. Yeah, but we got to set something up. Our job is to grow annually at a rate of 15%, 20%, try to grow our bottom line about 13 to 15%, slow, steady growth, moving in different territories, impacting more people, servicing more areas, and hiring more employees. Like I tell everybody, we have to grow. There's other employees wanting to come here. Yeah, that want a better life and a better environment. And and as we grow and learn, we learn more things, and we can teach more things to other people as we learn and grow. Our leaderships grow. So we're just going to keep doing the basic foundational stuff that we continue to do, and and do it because we're making a small difference in the world. I believe we're all doing that. That's our responsibility.
I think it's great. You guys have this idea. I mean, 15% is attainable. In our industry, there's so many. I'm going to do 100% every year, and I'm like, dude, so much stuff's going to break in your business. You're just going to lose money, But it's that ego that drives it. I think you guys have a great perspective on how to do it well. Right? Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts for you, Scott, with the business and where things are going? And happy to be a part of the team. It sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, and I just to end where I began. Who would ever thought I could be in such a noble profession and partner with Adam to change the minds of people about how contractors really do things. So, wanting to be best in class and delivering on that promise means a lot to us, and I'm grateful to be a part of on the journey and a part of it. So it's great.
Well, good stuff. Well, thank you so much for all your time, guys. I really appreciate it. I had a blast. Hopefully, it wasn't too long.
Like I said,
That's good.
no, all right. Thank you so much.
Support for this podcast comes from Goodman. Have you heard? Goodman has turned HVAC on its side. At first glance, the new Goodman SD inverter heating and cooling system for ducted homes looks very different than your traditional system. But at 53% lighter and 40% smaller than a traditional cube-style unit, it's easy to transport and is designed to optimize space, comfort, and performance. The Goodman's GT-ST thermostat has a compact, non-intrusive design featuring voice control through Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Goodman remains focused on providing high-quality products at an affordable price. It's no wonder homeowners and local contractors say, thank goodness for Goodman. Be sure to visit goodmanmfg.com or follow Goodman Air Conditioning and Heating on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube to see more on a new Goodman SD.
The Successful Contractor Podcast is part of the CertainPath family. CertainPath builds successful home service businesses and has for 23 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of over 1,000 contractors just like you. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With CertainPath, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com for more information.